Welcome, to ladies and gentlemen, Bobutuaka, brothers and sisters all over the globe in South Africa. Simple way, it's hello, Sanibonani. My name is Mohau, your host of the Banter, coming you live into my power outage house. No load shedding for the past, load shedded for the past 3 days. So the reason why I can have a smile and be able to come and shoot this, God knows we're very patient as South Africans. So today I want us to discuss the most four important reasons why South Africans do not hire South Africans. I know this is a conversation that most of you have already have had, and most of you actually have had plenty of reasons, and some would say, why are you discussing this? I'm discussing this because right now we are in a situation where the country is faced with a high level of unemployment. Small businesses cannot even last beyond 6 months in operation. Why is it that South Africans do not hire South Africans? This talks to the business, this talks to the household, this talks to, I think business and household will help me maybe to just make my point. And also maybe to give you a point where I'll be coming from. I'm coming from a point of being an entrepreneur, someone who is in business, who runs 2 and 3 different companies. One, I run a carpentry company based in Fairlands. We do kitchens, we do everything that you'd like to do. We do shop fitting, we do offices, we do beds, we do all those things. The second thing that we do is a talent management company where we do events, we create arts development programs. I've done a lot of work in Free State where I come from. Created work alongside with National NAC, National Arts Council, created jobs also with the Free State Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. So that's where I come from. So this conversation would mostly be biased from a point of entrepreneur side, as a person who starts a business. Now, reason number one why South Africans don't hire South Africans is South Africans have an option. South Africans have an option of food. If azikho la nizozithola laphana. Umalume ukhona, malume otimani, hlalo le ka mono ke bona hore no akunofumana something ya ho ja mo. It's reason number one. So in that way, anything that comes your way, it is easy for you to dismiss it. And hold on. There are a lot of reasons that I'm going to advance towards you. Just give me time and I'll explain and justify where I come from. I'm not just, single-minded. So the second one is, this is their country. They don't have a threat of being deported at any time. They can sit and be unemployed for 30 years. Somehow the government will find a social grant that will fit their age and where they'll qualify. This is a view from entrepreneur who is trying to hire a South African to say, come into my business, let me give you a job, an opportunity that would be able to feed your family. But most entrepreneurs that come back to me and say, Mohau, I really cannot retain more South Africans that I can retain outside the country employees, whom you want to call foreigners. I call them my brothers and sisters. So reason number two is we find, which is almost married to reason number one of people having an option. Why is South Africans don't hire South Africans is because we feel like South Africans are complacent. You hire someone who comes into the space in terms of adding value, and here I'm talking about labor intensive industries. I'm speaking from carpentry. I'm also gonna be speaking from an issue of an arts. But also carpentry, it stretches also to our household. I've seen many videos of ladies complaining about South African domestic workers, how they don't respect them, how they use muti on them. I can't even attest to that. I don't know. I'll tell you about my experience with South Africans helpers inside my house, because right now we currently shooting from my house. And I'll tell you about my experience with someone who was not from the country as well. So my opinion is saying that I have felt that plenty of South Africans that I've hired, which I have let go eventually, that we have issues of not working long contracts because they become complacent because they feel like the rate maybe might not be good enough, which is fair. Everything is expensive. But also you'd find that many people would say someone would come, would present themselves in this particular way, and then in the middle of a project they'd start behaving and showing you signs like they know more than you, and which is funny. I'm the one who got the contract. You must just come and fulfill what I promised the client. I remember I had a carpenter who would just come drunk, literally. And when they get there, they'll even tell me that they are actually they're drunk in the middle of that. Maybe they papalas, or I think it was just a long extended papalas from weekend, and they come with it. And they would tell me as the person who hired them, and I'm not sure it's an issue of skin. I don't even want to get to that, but that is part of the something that I have experienced as an entrepreneur in my business, having hired South Africans. Have I hired South Africans that have added value to my company? Yes, plenty of them in different industries. I'm referring here on the topic that I have today, that why is it that South Africans don't hire South Africa? Most reasons that I think are the ones that are deterring the employers to say, hey, why can I not have South Africans to come over and work for me? Reason number 3, why is it that South Africans don't hire South Africans, is because our currency here in South Africa is much higher and powerful. And South Africa is one of the countries that in Africa where you'd find that the neighboring countries are actually even using our currency in some of their transactions. It is allowed. So whenever you hire a South African, whenever you hire someone who's not from South Africa and you're giving them a rent, that rent will stretch much further than it would with someone who stays here in South Africa. I understand. Be with me. So reason number 4, which is the last one before I get to the solution, if you're still with me, whether you agree or not, we'll have the conversation down on the comment section. It's the reason number 4, why is it that South Africans don't want to hire South Africans, is because South Africans are unionized. You know how difficult it is right now in South African labor market to be able to run a business as an entrepreneur. Having to have access to the labor market that is so unionized that somehow you don't understand whether the interests there are for the employees down there on the ground floor or are for the office bearers of these particular unions. So that creates a lot of challenges, and I'm not sure if someone who wants to come and invest in South Africa and thinking that now with regards to investing in South Africa, I understand the politics